So hello everyone, I'm Otilia and I will tell you a bit about my contributions to our Library of Peace. I have particularly looked at inner peace, and it stems from the research I did last semester where I looked at inner peace in classroom settings. So I realized within this research that there is a gap in the literature when it comes to more traditional academia. Therefore, my first intention is to explore this gap, where I've looked particularly at the field of international relations. Moreover, I wanted to both contribute to bridging the gap, as well as looking at the distinctions between academia and public understandings of inner peace, as well on a larger scale, or as my more long-term intention, is to bridge the gap between internal and external peace. Internal peace relating more to our inner feelings of peace, external peace relating to more geopolitical understandings of peace, such as peace-building processes and peace-building missions. So, feeding on from there, it's important to establish what inner peace even means. So, from the literature, of course, inner peace advocates an individual understanding, but there's also a combined definition of it as fostering inner calmness and an inner state of happiness. And the research I did last semester established that inner peace can be defined in the framework of coming from mindfulness practices or self-caring practices. And particularly this chapter by Shinseng Young highlights that mindfulness brings a person to a state of happiness. And that kind of highlights what inner peace can mean, and it can stem from self-caring practices, not to overlook that it is an individual understanding. But carrying on with this definition of inner peace as an internal state of happiness, I've looked at how that's relating to the realm of international relations. I've particularly looked at 3 articles that talk about self-care as also relating to inner peace when it comes to these 3 articles and the researchers' work on violence and peace-building processes. Let's start with the first one by Meden. She highlights that our internal state of mind must be taken seriously because it's a vital part of staying safe and sane when it comes to both building peace and writing and working on societies that have been affected by violence. So already here we see that she brings our attention to this not distinctive understanding of internal and external peace. And moving on from there, Philip Schulz and other scholars, they highlight that this connection is even more important when it comes to actually working for peace building in communities that have been affected by conflict. Because the people working in those communities it takes a huge emotional toll to discuss these topics and meet these victims, and therefore self-care and communal compassion are even more important not even more, but they're equally important and tend to be disregarded. This brings me to highlighting the final article by Marie E. Berry that talks about resilience, and she reformulates the concept of resilience by also calling our attention that resilience also means communal care and also means self-love, and it also means internal peace. Because she looks at particularly women survivors of war and how they have overcome and built up their communities by taking their internal state of mind seriously. So, to sum all that up, these articles connect to our library, both situated in the feminist literature that we already have there, and drawing connections to particularly the articles on love and care in the realm of IR, as well as some of the scholarships on gender-based violence, and both for the researchers and the people affected by that. But moreover, it also highlights that there is a huge gap when it comes to what inner peace even means and what inner peace means in academia. And that leads me to my final point, which is about the challenges and the what nows. So circling back to the gap between academia and public, we have our Museum of Peace and our Library of Peace, where our library, based more on academic scholarship, only has 4 contributions to what inner peace is and how inner peace is narrated, whereas our Museum of Peace has 36 with the tag of inner peace. This highlights one of the challenges with this scholarship, that it's of course a very highly individual understanding of inner peace, which means that research tends to not really focus on it, and often it is situated in the more feminist tradition, That's not necessarily a problem, but it's something to bear in mind. And therefore, from what now and what to do now, I highlight that we should focus on the citizen scholarships aspects of it, because how one visualizes peace connotates into the internal understanding of peace. Not to overlook that we must bear in mind why, how, and for whom we intend to understand internal peace. And again, be cautious, be mindful of connecting it to our Peace Museum, because our Peace Museum is more explicit about inner peace than our library, and therefore it will be interesting to bring even more contributions of research and of academic quarrels of what inner peace means. So, on that note, if you have any ideas, if you stumble across anything, you're more than welcome to send it our way. Thank you so much for listening.